LeBron James, his exit interview after this disaster of a season ended. Listen to LeBron.
I think the areas where I saw that we could complement one another is Russ being, the push guard that he is, being able to create tempo, me being the wing threat, getting on and running, and AD being a lob threat. I thought that we could be very successful in that, and also with our length and defensive prowess too, we could be really good. At the end of the day, the reason why we were not very good together because we wasn't on the damn floor together.
Okay, is it a good job or not? Right now, Key, the answer is at this moment, it's a bad job. Yes. At this moment. But that doesn't mean it needs to be a bad job. For the right coach, it could be a great job, but the coach has to make it a great job. And the parallel to me in history, and I get it, Magic was just starting, LeBron is toward the end finish line, I get it. But once upon a time, Magic was the coach killer. Magic was the dude who said, Westhead is not running a kind of offense that is best for this team. He had a vision for the team. And it's Magic Johnson. He's a basketball genius. And guess who's going to win that struggle? Westhead was gone. And look, Pat Riley eventually takes full control, and that was a great thing. That worked. But the reason all that worked is Dr. Jerry Buss, the greatest owner in the history of American team sports, by far, the late, great Dr. Buss, he's one of these guys who was able to turn chaos into magic, so to speak. He was able to, he built himself up from nothing, dirt poor, to becoming basically a rocket scientist, right? Literally. And then eventually a real estate tycoon who owned the Chrysler building, and eventually he traded that and other stuff for the Los Angeles Lakers. He was able to turn chaos like a once saw a skateboarding movie. I'm trying to remember Z-Boys, whatever it was called, Z-Town, Dogtown. But the point was there was one skateboarder who could turn, what's that?
Lords of Dogtown.
Lords of Dogtown. One of these kids could turn like chaos into something beautiful, like a jazz musician or something, right? That was Dr. Buss. Jeannie's a chip off the old block. She's already won a championship.
Absolutely.
But she's going to have to now create the kind of environment that turns this kind of circus into a situation where the right person can put their hands on it. Key, it's not going to be easy because LeBron, like Magic, is a basketball savant. If he sees the way he wants to play, you should do it that way. But he's 37, not 22, right? But it's a bad job now because of everything that he described.
Well,
it could be a great one for the right personality.
Max, right now, today, they just fired the coach yesterday. Of course, it's not a great job today based on what happened this past season that just ended a few days ago. But as a whole, when you're talking about the Los Angeles Lakers, think about it. When you're talking about the Los Angeles Lakers with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, you're going to tell me that's a bad job? I mean, you anyone that thinks that don't know basketball. There's no way, Jay. There's no way.
Who is this coach? Because I agree with you, Max. The right coach that would need to come in and raise hell on everybody and say, you know what? I'm not accepting anybody's BS. Here is my standard, and this is what I want. But they have to have the backing of Rob Pelinka, Jeannie Buss,
and LeBron.
Kurt
Gotta get him to buy in.
Linda Rambis, and LeBron James to do that. The fact that all those will all be in line, I find that
No, you don't need it. You need LeBron and Jeannie.
All you need is LeBron James to sign off on whoever the coach is that can make the thing go. He said that Russ was a great point guard who pushed the ball. You play point guard. You know you got to push it with tempo. And you know that Westbrook, based on what LeBron said, can do that. For whatever reason, that's not what Frank Vogel wanted. So on top of the injuries and not buying into the same type of system, they were not going to have success.
Man, Nick Nurse is not taking – if I were Nick Nurse, I wouldn't take this job. Why would I leave Masai Ujiri and the culture in Toronto? Like, the only person I think that will actually have the clout to have LeBron James's ear will be Greg Popovich, but I wouldn't see him leaving San Antonio to come coach the Lakers. So you tell me,
why would LeBron want to play for Greg Popovich?
Because he will actually listen to Greg Popovich.
I mean, Greg Popovich is 1,000 years old, Mac. Jay.
Oh, so Key, tell me a coach that you think LeBron James would listen to that would garner respect.
Man, you asking me a tough question now because I don't.
I can even ask basketball experts.
Well, first of all, okay, wait. First of all, there's a lot here. I think it would have to be a coach that sees things on the floor the way LeBron does. That's the first thing. They need to have. I'm not sure who that is, but LeBron and that coach. The point is not that person doesn't exist. The point is that you have to find the person who sees the game in a similar way to LeBron. Then that person has to get signed off by Genie and Key. Everything else would fall into line after that.
Yeah, as I'm starting to think now that you asked me these questions, Jay, Mark Jackson would be somebody that LeBron James respects and listens to and has a very high basketball IQ that played the same position you did. It wouldn't be I wouldn't be shocked if they decided to sniff around Mike Brown again. I wouldn't be shocked at it. I wouldn't
Lakers'
be shocked
job
one bit.
Will not be good as long as LBJ is there. Let's face it, says gourmet chef Kev.
I'm saying Quinn Snyder, who I think is an offensive genius mind, has decided he doesn't want to. Look, you guys also have to understand they fired their head coach with a tweet. Their head coach, who just won a championship 19 months ago, found out he was fired and had to do a presser off a tweet.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.